In this lesson, we'll talk about font size measurements in CSS. We've gone over font styling in a previous lesson, but let's dive deeper into some fundamentals of font sizes when dealing with CSS. We display web pages with so many different devices, such as computers, smartphones, and tablets. So how do websites make their text appear nicely resized for each type of screen size? CSS does a lot of the heavy lifting. So let's talk about some font size measurements so we understand better how to work with them. So far, the most obvious method of changing our text sizes is using the header tags h1 to h6 and paragraph tags, which somewhat changes the sizes of our text. These tags are actually not a way to change the font size of our text. They're actually better used to section out our web pages and organize them. The h1 to h6 tags and paragraph tags are used to define sections of our web page, and we can actually change the size of these tags using CSS. So when we talk about the actual CSS font size property, it modifies the size of the font of our HTML element, which we can refer to as our selector. A good thing to note is that web pages usually have a default size of 16 pixels for the body, or whatever your browser setting is set to. There are 4 ways to set font size: 2 fixed sizes, which are pixels and points, and 2 relative sizes, which are ems and percentages. Pixels are the smallest units on screen size. It's a dot on your screen. A pixel is a fixed value. That means it will not change. If you look at your website on your laptop and on your phone, the font size will stay the same, and it will correlate to how small the pixel physically is on your device. Points are a measurement typically used in print. You're most familiar with this type of sizing in Google Doc or Word Doc. Points are also fixed values, meaning that it will not change. So if you look at the font set in this format on your laptop or phone, the font size will stay the same. We don't often use points in web development, so it's mainly used for print media. Ems are a newly adopted measurement unit that is being widely adopted by web developers. This type of sizing is relative, which means that it changes depending on the default set font size. If the default size is 16 pixels, then 1 em is 16 pixels and vice versa. Ems are scalable, which means the font size will scale to the screen size. So if you look at your website on a small screen, the font will be small. But if you look at your website on a big screen, the font will be larger. Similar to the em measurement, percentages change depending on the default font size. So if the default font size is 16 pixels, which is 100%, then if we tell our code to set the font sizing of a certain element to 200% of that, it will be double that, which is 32 pixels. Remember that changing the font size of the body changes the font size of everything on your web page. So changing the font size of the body to 32 pixels, which is twice the size of the default, would double the size of everything. For further learning, please head over to the assignment section on Replit. It'll give you a great practice activity and further instruction on how CSS font sizes work.